if I could just take a few minutes, I'm going to try and tell a story of this project, which I think was a great success, but only because of the participants that took a part in it. And I'm going to tell you those stories. If I can just grab this. So I run a small company called ProReal Limited. We've got a stand out there. Many of you have seen our avatars on the screens, and hopefully some of you have had the chance to touch and play and experience the technology that we've got. A few years ago, 2.5 years ago, I looked in my diary. Chris Hollis said, you should talk to this chap. Does anybody know Paul? A few nods, great. What a fantastic man he is. Not only a brilliant and talented researcher, but somebody who really understands and cares about the subject of personality disorders. And so Paul helped me understand that, and we talked about the difficulty of those that are diagnosed with that condition. Whether or not you find a diagnosis or label helpful or not, these are people who suffer with real difficult and dark thoughts sometimes. So this is an area that he cares passionately about and wants to do something about. And he was then in King's College and introduced me to this lady, Penny Cutting. Penny's a wonderful clinical leader of the Touchstone Centre, which is in Croydon. It's part of the South London and Maudsley NHS Foundation Trust. And Penny facilitates a wonderful programme of care for both inpatients, day patients, through a process called mentalization-based therapy. Anybody heard of mentalization-based therapy? A few of you. Thinking about thinking. And these treatments are long. These are 18-month cycles. These can be a significant investment of time, both for the clinicians and obviously for the service users. So difficult, and engagement was a problem for her. Dropout rates were a problem. And we were talking then through MindTech with this lady, Caroline Faulkner. Caroline has spent her life in virtual reality and technology research, particularly in the areas that somebody was talking about, empathy and warmth and therapeutic alliance. How can we think about technology as something that helps that rather than something that's different from that? So Caroline is the lead author on the paper that I think most of you will have been handed when you came into the conference, and you can read that at your leisure. And Bethan's going to talk through the results. So whilst I do this, I'm going to try and set up just to... I wasn't as prepared as I should have been, so I'm just going to try and show you the software that was being used by the service users in Bethlem Royal Hospital's Touchstone Clinic. This was group therapy. So if one can imagine in a room, let's see if this will work. Always fun playing with live technology, isn't it? So could I have the screen if I can plug this thing in? You see how well prepared I am? Right. Let's hope this is going to work. Great. So this is the technology that the service users were using. And imagine a big touch screen where one of them would come up and describe a difficult experience, and the other members of the group, perhaps 6 or 8 people, would comment and share perspectives on that. And so emotional instability and mood is very much part of the subject of these sessions. Maybe it was started with, well, how dark is this situation? Maybe this person brought an avatar in. Who is that? Let's give this person a name. Here's Sarah. Sarah's feeling pretty small in the world. She's facing rocks and darkness and wondering what that's about. She's in the group session, starts to label the difficult situation. He doesn't listen to me. And when she's in this experience, she's giving herself a particular set of emotional labels, of emoticons or postures. So she's reliving, she's experiencing that event. Here's the person that's the other person involved. Maybe another person. call this person Steve. There we go. Steve's so big he can't be seen. He's turned away. And what we're doing now, we're experiencing what Sarah experiences in a real-life situation. And maybe Sarah adds something else that's going on. Maybe there's some sort of wall between the two of them. Maybe there's a barrier or a blockage or a communication issue. So this is the technology that they're using that's slowing them down, it's slowing the process down to describe how somebody thinks and feels in a very difficult situation. Okay? So that was the research. Imagine we've got 4 weeks in a month, an 18-month treatment cycle. So Bethan, could you share the results, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
How do I get my slides up now?
Let's see if I can... There we go. They're back.
There we go.
Left you the clicker.
Right, where's the clicker? Oh, no, wait. Okay, so we had 15-day patients consent to participate in the study, with 11 completing all 4 Avatar MBT group sessions, and then 9 took part in interviews as well. All were part of all were patients in the Touchstone service with Penny as therapist in the group sessions. So I'm going to focus today on the interview findings. So Caroline did the interviews, and then I came in and analysed them separately from her, and then we came together to discuss what we found. So to start off with, most of the patients would compare this Avatar MBT to their usual MBT and would say that the Avatar therapy had more of an impact and was more powerful. And so something that came up was, firstly, was that visualization helps me to express and understand myself. I'm not going to read out all the quotes on the slide, so feel free to read them. So patients said that visualization helps them express their thoughts and feelings, which in turn helps them better understand themselves. So the visual and interactive nature of ProReal provided an outlet for expression and allowed patients to identify and label those thoughts, feelings, and behaviors in that situation, and then in turn could identify links between them. Secondly, the use of a visual narrative helped patients in keeping track and detail about their experiences, because they had to go into quite a bit of detail when describing what the situation or the relationship that they were bringing to group. And in a group, it can be difficult for themselves and for other members to fully understand the experiences of others and the emotions that they're bringing to that situation. Providing ProReal also helped them participate within the group and help them be able to provide feedback and comments to the other group members. So thirdly, the visualization also helped in allowing them to reflect and gather a sense of all the aspects of a situation and not what was just happening in a specific aspect of that situation. And then furthermore, the avatars themselves were useful, as patients said that it helped them in being able to empathize and put themselves in the shoes of other people in that situation. And in turn, that also helped their understanding and what others were feeling and then how that impacted on them as well. And then another part of this process was that it meant participants could externalize their thoughts and emotions. They could get what was on in their mind and get it out of there and onto a screen, which some of them described as allowing them to separate it from themselves. And then finally, the patients were asked how they felt this avatar-based mentalization sessions should be delivered. They did feel that group-based therapy was a really good outlet for it, because it allowed others then to comment and feedback as well, which again aided their understanding. But also there's the potential that it could be useful for one-to-one work with the therapist if there was a sensitive issue or something in particular that they wanted to go in depth with. So the patients didn't describe any ways in which they felt that ProReal was unhelpful, and any software glitches didn't appear to impact upon their experience of avatar-based mentalization therapy. And yeah, so ProReal does appear to be like a promising tool that can be used within these mentalization sessions, and these interviews have identified some possible mechanisms of change, such as helping them understand the perspectives of others in the situation and to see it from different perspectives. And the comments suggested that their use of ProReal helped make an abstract idea more concrete and get it out of their mind and allow it to help them comprehend the experiences they'd gone through. They did provide some suggestions for improvement, such as change. You saw the background there. They suggested that maybe have one which is more of an urban environment, for example. And yeah, finally, this was a small study, so in future we're hoping to continue collaborating with others and also look into how this impacts service delivery. And then finally, as Andrew's already said, if you want to read the whole thing, you've been given a copy of the evidence of our publication in evidence-based mental health. You can also watch Penny's webinar on YouTube, which is about how she was involved in delivering the therapy in the study. And Caroline took part in an evidence-based mental hangout yesterday, all about it, so and that's now available on YouTube as well. And that's it. Very much.